So here I am, and funny enough, that's what my tour is actually called. Here I am. I don't think I could come up with anything more original than that, because I'm always the new guy, or the mysterious guy, or the unknown guy. So I thought, why not call it Here I Am? So here I am. And the first thing I'd like to do is introduce myself. My name is Seif Altayar. For those of you who think they can spell it, it's not what you think. It's definitely not S-A-I-F. It's definitely not Seif. You know, that product that you spray to kill germs and bacteria? Definitely not that one. My parents decided that they're gonna go with S-E-I-F. And trust me, when I was growing up in Denmark, E and I is pretty much sounds the same. So people were very, very confused when I was telling them my name. It was, and someone like myself who's introverted, I'll tell you what, it was difficult. It was very, very difficult growing up. So I've got my parents to thank for that. Thank you very much, Mom and Dad. Like they say, everything starts from your garage, and I decided, why not? Let's just start in my garage. Maybe this will turn out to something, who knows? Did I ever tell you about my experience when I went to the American embassy? I mean, bloke like me, named Seif, born in Syria, to Iraqi parents, finding out that he's 47% Iranian, and he's got a mechanical engineering degree, and he's married to a Pakistani girl, and I could just go on and on and on. I try to explain to my workplace, like, guys, come on, they're not gonna accept it. I already got declined for the flipping that thing you do online, the visa one. I mean, within 20 minutes, you just like decline, you know, and they want your social media and all this stuff. And honestly, guys, I don't even post. I don't even use Facebook, to be honest with you. But I gave them everything, and they were like, dude, you're gonna have to come to the embassy. It's the only way. Anyway, work was adamant because I was traveling back and forth to Mexico for work, and they wanted me to travel via the US because it would take much less time. And honestly, I don't like doing 3 flights just to get to Mexico. Well, second flight to Mexico, third flight would be to the area where I need to work. So anyway, so flipping 5 months later, can you believe it? 5 months just to get into the embassy. So I get to the embassy, I am like shitting myself. I'm thinking, that's it's not gonna work, and you know, the American dialect does intimidate. And I've got this friend of mine whose father was working for the, I think it was for the RAF at the time, and he said, dude, listen, they're just not gonna accept you. Listen, you're born in Syria, you've been to Syria, you've been to Iraq, which I did, by the way. It was like 2 years prior to the interview at the embassy. So anyway, so I stroll in, and this is like in September of 2024, I believe. And they take your fingerprint, they ask you these pre-interview questions, and this is something I did not expect, because I'm usually like prepared, I've everything ready, you know, I've got all the folders and everything, and I'm like ready to tackle the person. And the lady just goes to me, did you have 3 points on your license, on your driving license 2 years ago? And I'm like, yeah, I did. She's like, okay, anything else you want to disclose? I'm like, no. Is there anything I want to disclose? Dude, I was so boggled. I was like, I did not expect that. And this is what the Americans are so good at doing. It's almost like psychologically they know you're tripping, and they know what you're thinking. So they're like, what should we ask him which he's not expecting? Yeah, we have his history of where he's been. In 2014, Why don't we ask him about that? Definitely wouldn't expect it. I'll be honest, I wouldn't. So, anyway, she asked me a few other questions, and I knew the answers, and I gave it to her. And she said to me, this is what, again, something bizarre that I didn't expect. She's like, I like it. You're very, and that's literally what she did. And I was like, okay, I guess that's good. She's like, yeah, it's very good. At that point, I realized it's not just me. Everyone here are like freaking worried. And I remember I was behind a lady, and she was texting like her partner or someone, and he was like, you can do it, girl, come on, blah blah blah, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I guess, I'm fine, because everyone's feeling like this, and you don't really know until you go through it, if you know what I mean. And so, and I get to the actual main interview, and by then I'm like, I sweat, and I'm trembling, and I don't know like how to act. And so I'm standing there, and he's like, I think he asked me, the first question was, can you confirm your name for me? And I gave him my name. Can you confirm where you live? And told him where I lived. It's like, and then he asked me, I think by the fourth or fifth question, he asked me, so you've been to Iraq? And I said to him, yeah, because it's in the application. I'm not going to flip and lie about it. He's like, why do you go to Iraq? I said, well, my grandmother's there, so I wanted to visit her. And I have an auntie there. Well, two aunties. And he said, and again, one of those questions that you just didn't expect. Do you have any family members who are in the military? And I was like, no, not that I know of. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, dude, I have family, but I don't know any of them because I've never been to Iraq until recently. And I didn't even see all of them. I just saw a few of them. And he's like, okay, and what's your line of work? And I told him what I was working for, software company, yada, yada, yada. That was like, I think, the sixth question. And then he looks up after looking at my application, and he goes to me, approved. And I looked at him, and I'm like, okay. And I don't think it sank in. And he's like, 2 days, you'll get your passport, Mr. Altayar. I was like, okay, do you want me to sign anything? Do you want me to bend over? What's going on here? Is this a joke? And he's like, no, that's all. That's it. And in 2 days, I got my passport with the American visa on it. Unbelievable. I could not believe it. Now, I did wanted to send a message to my mate saying, yo, look what I got. And you know what? Maybe he's watching this. Listen, I got the visa, and since then I've traveled to America countless times. So it's amazing what can happen with history like mine. So I get to Mexico, and it's very interesting because the Mexicans got this interesting way of communicating with each other, and it's like this. That's literally what they do when they say okay or agree with you. And the guy I was working with, for lunch and for dinner, when I would talk to him and he would have food in his mouth, and he'd literally be, and I'll be talking and stuff, and all there guys, they find me funny. So he's laughing and stuff, and when he wants to communicate with me that he agrees or that it's okay or whatever, he'd literally be, and I know all the Mexicans who are watching this are probably laughing. I'm like, yeah, that's us, that's what we do. And that's what they do. I was like, wow, this is an interesting way. That's something we should implement here as well. Can you imagine you're eating like, yeah man, what is it? You just go, I mean, I can imagine people taking that and they're like, with their middle finger. But yeah, so that was very interesting. Another thing I learned very quickly as well is, and the guy, I asked these questions to the guy I'm working with. We would be driving on the road, and I see these vehicles like with no number plates. I'm like, mate, what's up with these cars with no number plates? Don't go near them. And I was like, why? It's like, cartel. I was like, what? Really? And he'd say, yeah. I was like, well, okay, you know that. Now I know that. The police knows this as well? Like, yep. I was like, okay, what if they stop them because they want to stop them? He's like, then the cartel will visit their home and take care of it. And I was like, whoa. Dude, that's crazy. It's like, yeah. And there's been, mind you, there's been instances where we'd go into a restaurant and he would pull me aside and he's like, no, don't sit over there, not near these guys. It's like, dude, like, how can you tell there's something wrong here? Like, how do you guys assess? He's like, look, in Britain, when you go to a place to eat, do you smoke inside or do you smoke outside? I was like, well, I don't smoke, firstly. Secondly, if people were to smoke, they smoke outside. He's like, okay, can you tell me what these two guys are doing? And I look and I'm like, yeah, one of them is smoking. What's strange about that? I mean, maybe you guys don't have the same policies we have in the UK where you get bloody fined. He's like, no. You're not allowed to smoke indoors. You have to smoke outdoors. But this guy, he's clearly smoking indoors. And because nobody is coming near him, who do you think he works for? I was like, oh. Yeah, let's just stay away. So guys, I've actually done a DNA test and I discovered that I apparently am 1% Ethiopian. Yeah. Can you believe it? And so one of the things I've sort of asked myself is, does that now give me the right to use the N-word? Like, is that your entry requirement? Yo, one of your ancestors, which now you bear the 1% of that, whatever the ancestor is giving you, is your entry level for using the N-word. Welcome, my N-word. Honestly, it scares me to having to use that because I know what people would think. Like, dude, you're fair. There's no way we're gonna let you leave unharmed in our custodianship. And honestly, I wouldn't blame them because I don't necessarily look like it. I'm not as tall as a Ethiopian. So I've got a daughter and a boy, and my boy, he's 2.5 years old. And one of the things that did surprise me about him was that he started speaking when he was less than 2 years old. I was 4 when I started speaking. I was apparently very, very shy. And but the good news is when you're able to communicate with them, they can sort of express how they feel, or if they're hungry, or if they need to go to the toilet, or whatever. So we decided, you know what, let's just train him, potty train him. And so we did, and it went well first few weeks, and then he regressed. So he regressed, and I'm pretty sure many fathers would agree with me with how happy they would feel when they finally decide to bath their only son, and you know, they do such a good job of it, and they wash the hair, they wash the body, and they get this new outfit, you know, and they put on the outfit after using this motion and lotion on him and all of this stuff, right? So he's like new. You might as well just put him in a package and seal it and bloody send it off somewhere. But anyway, so I'm happy, you know, and I'm very proud, and I go to my missus and like, well, I did. Almost like waiting for some sort of a badge, you know, best father of the day. So anyway, this little spoiled brat decides to hold his pee-pee, indicating that he wants to take a piss. I was like, well, I'll just bathe him. Fine. So I do the sensible thing, pull down his trousers, pull down his pants, and so this is the thing. With boys, different from girls, when you sit down on the toilet seat, you need to make sure that the thingy is down. I sit him down, I push him back, not realizing it's still up. I go to wash my hands, split second. I look back, there's piss all over the floor, there's piss on his new clothes, there's piss on him. I'm like, you know what? That's it. Screw this, I've had enough. So, like any other father, I take my beloved son and I throw him to my wife and I'm like, I retire. I've had it. So one day I'm at work and I'm working in one of these multi-millionaire homes in Belgravia. Because of the line of work I was in water treatment as a engineer. I'm working on this particular water softener, I think it was. By the way, most of these homes are empty, guys. They're owned by Russians or Arabs or Chinese folks, flipping multimillionaires. So anyway, so down in there, I call it the dungeon, down in the basement, honestly, the plant rooms are like flipping bigger than my house. So and then they got all these, like so many different pieces of equipment. And I'm there and I'm standing near like a bin and it's got salt in it. And I have to make sure that the piece of equipment that I'm working on is working fine. And so out of the blue, this gay Filipino guy just turns out of nowhere. And I sort of seen him when he was signed me in. And I think he must have thought, okay, well, this guy's gonna work. I'm gonna have a chat with whatever, right? I don't know. I wasn't in his head, so I don't know. I just assumed. And he thought, well, he's gonna be alone, so I might as well just go and speak to this guy. So anyway, he comes out of nowhere. He's like, hey, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like stuck. Here's the wall. Quite literally, here's the wall and here's the bin. The guy's just on the other side. And he's like, so what are you doing? And I say to him, yeah, I'm just working on this equipment. And he's like, so how old are you? And I think at the time I was like 26. So I was like, I'm 26. He's like, you look so handsome. And honestly, I think I knew where he was going. So immediately, and I was married, by the way, at that time. So I just said to him, yeah, once I'm done here, I can't wait to get home to my wife. And he's like, it's like I shot him. He's like, what? You're married? And I was like, yeah, I'm married. He's like, but you're 26. I was like, yeah, but I've been married since I was 24. And he's like, you've been married 2 years? No wonder. You're so handsome. She's so lucky. And I was like, oh, bloody hell. And by the way, the more I confirmed I'm heterosexual, like she's pregnant or that I've known her since high school, the more he flipping got irritated. And I just didn't know what to do. So I was like, well, I think I'm done. Thank you. And I remember I just bolted. However, I told him my encounter with the Danish nursery practitioners and my parents. This is a good one. You're gonna like this. So when I was about 5 years old, and my parents decided to take me to nursery. And one of the things that the nursery practitioners try to establish with my parents is that they have once or twice a year during summer, they would take all the kids to the beach. And we would have fun. Now, my parents thought fun would mean everyone with their clothes on. And what we soon discovered was that that wasn't the case. But the way it was explained to them was as follows. The nursery practitioner would come in, sit my parents down, hand them a videotape and say, "Here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Altayar. We are a very proud nation, a nation who loves to have fun and enjoy ourselves. And so I'd recommend you watch this video tape and assimilate our culture. For what we're about to take your son, and obviously this is going to happen to my sister as well at some point, and get them to explore the world." So anyway, listening to all of that, my parents had obviously no clue what they were signing their son up to. And I tell you what, guys, it's just 2 seconds of putting that tape in and watching what I'm about to tell you. Those 2 seconds will never escape my mind. And so my parents said, "Okay, we'll watch the tape." And again, they had no idea what was going on, what was actually meant. I remember getting home and they put on the tape and like, "Okay, let's watch this thing, see how proud this nation is." And honestly, I think if I could count, I'd probably like 12 arses, 10 kids, 2 adults. And my parents stopped the video, of course. So they changed my nursery and they said, "There's no way we are sending you to do that." And I remember every nursery I went to, I'd be scared that I'd have to strip naked. So clearly I was traumatized by it. So being an Arab, I'm constantly asked the question, "Hey, would you like some tea? Or would you like some coffee?" And I hate to break it for you, but I don't drink neither of those. I'm more of a hot chocolate kind of guy. And honestly, when I look at my life, I'm always like, I want people to take me seriously. I want people to take me seriously. Like, how serious are people going to take you when you walk in as this commissioning engineer who's here to solve your issues, and they look at you like, "Oh mate, would you like some coffee or tea?" And you're looking like you're ready to take on the world, and you're like, "No, I don't drink coffee or tea, but I'd like to have some hot chocolate." Not really the macho kind of personality that you're thinking of in your head, is it? And also, I don't know why this is, when they ask you, "Okay, fine, you don't tea or coffee, what else would you like?" And it's almost like it's a trick when I tell them I want hot chocolate, like, "That's the one thing we don't have." "Oh, you got me." I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to get you. You're asking me the question and I'm just answering your question. Another thing I'd like to reveal is that I'm very keen on licorice. Yes, licorice. I don't know what it is, but licorice is just absolutely amazing. And I've read that it's actually good for your digestive system. So it's sort of a win-win, right? Taste is good and it's good for my digestive system. And looking at me, I'm not fat, so I actually recommend it. And actually, why don't you guys try it? You know, licorice and lemon in your tea. How about that? Yeah? For those of you who drink tea, try it. You've got nothing to lose except fat. And that's something we all want to lose. And in fact, I might as well just reveal, yes, I don't really drink tea or coffee, but I wouldn't necessarily say no to tea with lemon and a licorice. And I think it's probably one of the only things I would consider if it comes to tea, or iced tea for that matter. Usually I enjoy my cold drinks, yeah. But the thing that's very interesting about licorice is that people don't necessarily like it. It's sort of an acquired taste, if I'm honest. I remember once, and I'm usually Mr. Nice Guy, right? So I remember working, this is going 10 years ago. going back 10 years ago now, and I was eating some licorice, and my boss was very, very stressed. I thought, you know what, let me just offer him some licorice. And I swear, I'm thinking, you know what, I'm being nice, whatever. So I hand him the licorice. He knows what it is. He knows what he's about to eat. As soon as he puts it in his mouth, he's like, he spits it out. He says to me, Seif, why does this taste like toothpaste? And I was like, it's licorice. And it just so happens to have a hint of mint in it. It's like, it feels like I'm bloody brushing my teeth. Another incident was when I was in school and I tried to offer this girl some licorice. You know what she said to me? She said, is this heroin? And honestly, I was actually very, very surprised. And I was like, no. Firstly, I've never seen heroin, and I don't know why you would say that. How do you know anything about heroin? I just had so many questions, and yeah, I remember that after that, I never offered anyone licorice for a long time. So one of the things I learned very early on about myself is I'm actually terrified of people. Quite literally. I find that people are very unpredictable, difficult to trust, and not necessarily loyal. And I'm not saying I'm any of those. I'm just as bad, if anything. But what I really discovered early on is that you could easily lose people. And what I mean by that, I'm not even talking about death. It's just you just move. You just like pack up. Like let's just go to another country. Boom. My friends, everyone, all gone. And because of that experience, I found that it's difficult then to make friendships. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you're the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, what's the point now? Because we're just gonna move again at some point. Like you're gonna go to different universities and so on and so forth. And I know social media, you can always keep in contact, but it's not exactly authentic or the same flavor as being present with someone. I'm off that generation that was born to play in the dirt in the early 90s, before smartphones and social media and all the rest of it. And so as you're growing up, you start realizing, actually, I don't even want to do the shopping anymore. I want to do online shopping. Whether that's Amazon or buying your groceries online. But one of the tricks I learned was, because these shops are open for 24 hours, that gives you a window to go at night. But the problem is, at night, you become an obstacle for the people who are doing the shelves. And they're doing the shelves, and you walk in and you're like, it's just me here, and obviously these people are working. I'm not going to interact with them. They're just going to do their bit, and I'm just going to keep walking. And you're ready to I'm ready to do the grocery shopping, right? And so I'm there, and these guys like, because this guy's doing here? You should be asleep. Why are you here? Anyway, and soon enough, I discovered that actually it's a bad idea, because I can't find what I'm after, because everything is a mess. And they are, at the end of the month, they want to change the layout, they want to change things around, and you're like, I can't find half the stuff I want. And also, I'm priding myself on being an efficient dude. I'm not efficient. So you can't really win in life, can you? Because on one hand, you're like, I don't want to deal with people. On the other hand, I also want to be efficient. So I've learned that between 10 and 11 in the evening is probably the best time to go, because there's enough stuff on the shelf, and they haven't decided to make a mess of everything on the floor. And so you go, and I'm very quick, I'm in and out. And so what they do is, these dirty bastards, I don't even know why I call them dirty, I'm not saying they're dirty, they move things to another aisle, or they decide to, rather than have it at the front, they have it at the back. And And I get used to, because it's like muscle memory, isn't it? It's like, okay, the water's here, the aisle number 22, aisle number 23 is where the eggs are. And what you find is the eggs now are aisle 40 and the water is aisle 3. And you're like, oh, God damn it, what the hell is going on here? And you have to relearn the steps. And I don't like that. I don't think anyone likes that, because we get comfortable, right? Like, why are you moving? And I know they do this so you end up seeing wherever the water was, maybe this would be of interest, this product they have here. And usually for me, it's like, nah, I'm not getting that. And I don't know about you, but for me, call me stingy, but I hate it when those crisps, those amazing, expensive crisps, normal priced at £2.50, but there was a time when they were 2 for 2. You know which ones I'm talking about? The Walker ones? I don't know what happened, but ever since the pandemic, and when toilet rolls were everyone's life and business, everything just went up. And it hasn't really been the same since, has it? It's such a shame. Talking about the pandemic actually brings up back some memories. I don't know about you, but I know some people had it really, really tough, with not able to see their parents or their grandparents and so on and so forth, vulnerable people. I gotta admit though, I had a bloody good time, because I tell you what, I just moved to this property, and 6 months in, they're like, everyone, you just have to isolate. And it was amazing, because firstly, I got to spend time with my daughter. Yeah, I had such a good time. I spent so much time with Jenna, and I was able to catch up with the family members over WhatsApp, play games. We had our back garden and I just happened to have a tent actually that I bought a few weeks prior to the whole thing blowing up, and so I put up the tent, and we were having such a good time. But at the time, guys, I couldn't say any of this stuff. I tell you, it was mad. It was absolutely mad. But now, looking back at it, I'm like, I miss that time. And I know, again, maybe some people are probably going to be angry for me saying all this stuff, but it just so happens to be I purchased at the right time and I did everything at the right time. But yeah, it was a mad time. It was an absolute mad time. And some people, they just didn't have the luxury of being able to go out in their back garden or anything like that, or being completely by themselves. I would imagine that's very horrific.